never stopped. Sometimes they bear the initials TFE, or the abbreviation EAG. While in the Senate, he sometimes signed them the Statesman. After he left the Senate, the Statesman became the Old Professor. He is a very funny man. The word colleague is Senate speak. It describes any senator in relation to another, but for Tom and me, a better word is partner. One day we were talking about a vote pending on the Senate floor, a vote much more about political positioning than philosophical content. After agreeing on what we would do, I voted and headed for my office, where I found a call waiting from Tom. "I think we made the wrong vote," he said. "I changed mine, and we'll make sure that they keep the vote open so you can get back to the floor and change yours." Never once was there an effort to embarrass one another. I don't know of any senators from the same state who had a better relationship than ours. Which is not to say that Tom's positions on issues were as uniformly sound or well-reasoned as my own. His votes were frequently way off the mark, but then he is a Democrat. No one else spoke with the passion of Tom Eagleton. I will always remember his speech to the Senate condemning Harrison Williams, the liberal Democrat involved in the Abscam scandal. Tom argued that ideology was beside the point. The standards of the Senate compelled the expulsion of Williams. That day, as we were leaving the Senate floor, Senator Fritz Hollings said to me, "I don't know how this whole mess started, but I know when it ended, with Eagleton's speech." When you hold an elective office, you're supposed to be a team player at election time, supporting your party's candidates, no matter who they are. And if you're a senator, you're expected to campaign for all your party's Senate candidates. In my political career, I have traveled America making some very spirited speeches on behalf of some very strange people. This was in the name of party loyalty. But here is an admission which may shock political partisans. When Tom's election came up, or mine, the other person would go through the motions but not do much. It was like the old four-corner offense in Dean Smith basketball. We would throw the ball around a little but never score many points. On the morning after one of my elections, I received a congratulatory phone call from Tom, who was in Greece. Rather than tour the state on the week before my election, he took a fact-finding trip abroad, looking into something or other. Those who promote the intense partisanship that has characterized the past 6 or 8 years of American politics would not appreciate or even understand the partnership of Tom Eagleton and Jack Danforth. But we don't appreciate or even understand them. And I think that our way worked well for the people of Missouri. Of course, course, I'm not objective. One of the good things about returning to St. Louis has been to renew the partnership of 10 years in the Senate, still on behalf of common causes, but now in private life. This past year, we have been working hard to create a regional financial base for rebuilding downtown St. Louis, making trips to Jefferson City together and meeting with legislators in our community. So far, this hasn't borne fruit, but our day will come. Tom Eagleton is a public servant, is, present tense. Let's bear that in mind as we name this courthouse for him. He is more than a former office holder. He is a public servant. That is a calling he kept after he left the Senate. He was a public servant when he held elective office and when he brought the Rams to our town, and when he spoke for regional governance, and when he labored on behalf of downtown St. Louis. I think that the rest of us need to name this the Thomas F. Eagleton Courthouse much more than he does. For him, this naming is merely an honor. For the rest of us, it will be a constant reminder of our own obligations to the common good. Not all of us want to be or can be holders of elective office, but each one of us can be a public servant, even in private life. Each one of us can look beyond individual interests. Each one of us can do more for the common good. That should be the duty of each one of us, just as Tom has seen it as his duty. Let the name of this courthouse be a reminder to all of us, not only of this man, but of the public service he has done and still does. Public service which should be the standard by which we too are measured. Ladies and gentlemen, those are some of my thoughts about my friend and partner, Tom Eagleton. And Tom, I know you wish your father were alive.
How do you follow somebody like that? We love Jack Danforth. Just don't like his politics. It's like he's a great guy. Ed Philippine was the chief judge when the courthouse was first conceived. He has been a tireless worker in ensuring the successful completion of the courthouse. Like me, Ed Philippine had the privilege of working for Tom Eagleton. He is a true gentleman and one of the most fair and kind individuals I've ever known. The Honorable Edward L. Philippine.
If you will look at your programs, you'll see that they told me that I was to introduce Tom Eagleton and limit it to that. They said, that's your sole duty. And the reason they did that, some of you who know me, the reason they did that is unlike all the other speakers, I have a reputation for speaking in a very brief and non-repetitive manner. But I'm going to take about 20 seconds of personal privilege before I do what I've been asked to do. As I look out at all of you, I see so many friends from so many years, and I have to confess that I am as overwhelmed by you as I am by this beautiful and majestic building that goes online today. The second thing I want to say is that you have heard a lot of speakers praise a lot of people. And I would add that if I were to repeat that praise and the thanks to those people 10 times over, it would be insufficient. I cannot do that because of the crunch of time, but I want each and every one of those persons that receive that praise and thanks to know that I personally shall never forget you or what you did for this building and for me. Now, it is indeed an honor to have been asked to introduce our principal speaker, the man for whom this marvelous edifice has been named. In so honoring Senator Eagleton, the Congress, the Court, and the GSA carefully considered the lifetime of distinguished public service that he has given to his nation, his state, and the community. He has served as United States Senator, Lieutenant Governor for Missouri, Attorney General for Missouri, St. Louis Circuit Attorney, and is a member of the United States Navy. His career has centered on the law, and it is most appropriate that he be the person for whom this courthouse is named. Today, however, I would like to introduce Tom Eagleton, not only as the exceptional, conscientious, and dedicated public servant, but also as an extraordinary person. The Tom Eagleton I know is a man of great character, of superior intellect, of principles and values which do not vary based on polls or whims, a man of generosity and compassion. His personal attributes alone more than qualify him for the enormous honor bestowed on him today. Tom graduated from St. Louis Country Day School with honors from Amherst College and Harvard Law School. He is currently a partner in the St. Louis law firm of Thompson Coburn and a university professor of public affairs at Washington University. He is the author of 3 books and the recipient of numerous honorary degrees and awards. Tom and his wife, Barbara, have 2 children, Terry and Christy Eagleton Fleming, a son-in-law, Michael Fleming, and 2 grandchildren, Barbara Ellen Fleming and James Eagleton Fleming. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to present to you a great man, a great American, and a person I am proud to say is my good friend, Tom Eagleton.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so very much. With that kind of applause, ex-politicians sometimes think they might want to pull a comeback. When Vice President Mondale was applauded very vociferously, his eyes lit up. He said, "One more time." And my friend Jack Danforth, you know, for a retired preacher, he's pretty damn good, isn't he? If Dr. Martin Luther King could have been with us today, he might have started off the invocation, "Finished at last, finished at last. Thank God Almighty, it's finished at last." Dick Gephardt was the chief instigator, implementer, and developer of this building. Without his support, without his vigorous efforts, there wouldn't be a building here, a new courthouse. He's the one, assisted by Bill Clay, and over on the Senate side by Senator Bond and Senator Danforth. It was Dick Gephardt who brought this into reality. Sometimes people in articles have referred to Dick Gephardt as Eagleton's protege. I wish he were. He'd be my most wonderful protege. He thinks for himself, he does for himself, and I'm honored to have him as a friend. This is a tale of two courthouses. In 1935, a 10-story, $3 million building was opened at the corner of Market and Tucker. Although it would be called a courthouse, its principal use back then in the 30s was to house the administrative and department agencies located in St. Louis. Back then, the federal district court had but 3 courtrooms, one each for Judges Charles Davis and George Moore, and one little extra courtroom just in case they might need one more judge sometime in the century. In 1935, our nation was in the depths of the Great Depression. Before President Franklin Roosevelt came to office, America had a Jeffersonian political culture that was extremely wary of centralized power. Roosevelt set about to change that and to mobilize the federal government to act to address the needs of a profound social and economic crisis, the Great Depression. It was in that same year, 1935, that Roosevelt achieved the absolute political power of his career. In the minds of some people, like Al Smith and Frank Smith, Roosevelt